Okay, so we are moving on to the next session. And this person is a media personnel. He's a media person. He's a multiple award-winning media and communications professional, a media trainer, social entrepreneur, environmental advocate, climate reality leader, and a global goodwill ambassador. He is the news editor at Love FM and Insure FM. He's won many international and local awards. His reporting assignment spans through Africa, Europe, America, and the Middle East. He holds a master's degree in development planning and management. And he's a part-time lecturer also in mass communication and journalism at Kumasi Technical University, yes, KSTU. He has a popular mantra which goes as, "Live to love." So please, let's welcome Mr. Kofi Domfe as he comes. Yeah.
Good morning to you all. I think it's appropriate that I appreciate Dr. Shalom for this opportunity. Just 2 days ago, I was in Accra for a climate event as a panelist, and somebody asked me how we measure impacts with the kind of reports we do as media practitioners. And the answer I gave was that we target one person at a time, one community at a time. Sometimes when we get this privileged opportunity to have such an engagement, we take it for granted, especially when it's for free. I know how much people do spend most often. It's fine, you can use this one. Okay. To access this type of knowledge, and so we should not take it for granted. When it's free, it's supposed to attract a good number of people, but it's not everybody that will see the need to attend. So it's a great opportunity for all of us here. I've taken a lot of learnings from the first two speakers personally, and I believe that's the essence of this engagement. So, Doc, thank you very much for giving us this platform to share ideas, knowledge, and experiences. My task this morning, I think the last speaker made justice to the subject matter of creating ideas and harnessing them to benefit us. I'm going to look at how we can harness social media for global positioning. But before I do that, I want to highlight a very critical thing that is happening in our environment, society, that we all need to talk about, which is mental health. Because of the space where I find myself, we have a lot of issues coming to our fore, and most of them relate to mental health. And I think it's the pressure of society. And as we are here looking at how we can better our lives, secure good employment, have good spaces to work, I believe we should not be putting too much pressure on ourselves, because society is defining success in so many ways that we really do not have control over. And the question is, what really is success? Is it about the cars that people drive, the beautiful houses they build, the clothing? What really is success? It's a difficult thing, but for me, life is all about being happy, and it's an individual thing. What will make somebody happy may not make you happy. So you have to define for yourself what really make you happy as an individual. And if you are able to identify that one thing, pursue it to the best of your ability, I believe the pressures of this society will not be too much on you. The times are hard indeed. Jobs are difficult to come by. I know how many people come to the office almost every now and then looking for opportunities to be employed and all that. It's a tough terrain we all find ourselves in. but we can't kill ourselves unnecessarily. So let's take things easy, look for the opportunities as they exist, or explore them, but we should be careful how we live our lives, not to be overburdened by society. Okay, so I want to share my immediate experience, starting with how social media has helped me get to where I am currently. About, let's say 19 years ago, I returned from Nigeria as a young graduate from school journalism, looking for employment and all that. Fortunately, I went for an internship at Love FM. I was engaged. The following year, 2015, I had employment. I was placed on the business desk at Love FM as reporter, of course. You're supposed to generate content for the local platform, also serve the multimedia platforms, especially Joy FM in Accra. Almost every day, you have to generate true story ideas. That was the task. I was performing it creditably well. For over 10 years, I was in charge of business desk at Love FM. But I realized that I wasn't getting that satisfaction that I needed because it was a small platform, just Kumasi here. You do your reports. If you are lucky, Joy FM will also broadcast it. Then online wasn't that popular and all that. Then I asked myself, how do I leverage on the list that I'm doing in this space of radio? Then somebody said, why not go into blogging? Then I said, well, I would love to do blogging, but the type of stories I do locally are mainly business, of course, small businesses, farm and agriculture and all that. How would this attract the type of audience that I need, not only in Ghana, but globally? Then I started looking at how do I really create content that will be attractive not only to my local audience, but to a global audience. And that's how come I found my space using the social media and other blogging platforms to leverage on the list that I do here. So within the period, when I started writing, I realized I was not getting the requisite hits that I needed. Then somebody said, the topics must be creative enough to attract. So what do I do? Then I said, okay, let me look at environment. And the task at Love FM is so hard that looking for even the local stories for business is not an easy task. How much more leaving my core responsibility to look for other content to put on my blog. But I said every week I would do one story on environment. I started with the basics, sanitation and all that, filth, Key University, of course, you speak to lecturers, what we need to do to go back to keeping our Garden City accolade and all that. Then I got exposed to climate change, and that became the hit. Over the period of the core practice of reporting as a business or financial journalist, none of them gave me the exposure that I really needed. It was rather on the side of the blogging on environment and climate change that gave me the leverage to go global. And so with the advent of social media, during our time it was high five. I don't know how many of you are even used to high five, then later Facebook and all that came through. But blogging was the main deal. Along the line, I realized that more people globally are looking for things to consume that may not necessarily be coming from their local environment, but we all relate to one thing or the other coming from other spaces within the global space. And so I have some few things to share with you how we can all make very good use of our SM platforms. So everybody, as we are all here, we are all connected one way or the other because the cell phone is now the most powerful tool that we can use to be the best that we can. And everybody, we have one space or the other that we operate from. We can be on Twitter, now X, of course. We can TikTok and all that. Professionals, and that's where I find my space, LinkedIn. And of course, YouTube is the ish. So social media, of course, is the first option that comes to mind when we're looking for expanding connections in any field, and I say any field, including even those who are in the tech space, because they may have ideas, but leveraging becomes a problem. If we are to use our brains the best way possible, of course, it brings loads of success. And I believe that using social media could be a debatable topic because of the extremes. Now we talk about fake news happening, nudity, abuse, and all that. A lot of things happening within the space. However, the importance cannot be overlooked. And that is why it's important as we sit here, we should not just be thinking about social media as a space that drives what we call the social vices, but as a space that can be used for high profitability. In all the things we do or want to use social media for, content is king. And I'm glad that we've learned how to generate ideas from the previous session. If you don't have the content, then the tool you are holding will become useless. And so you have to begin to think through what content really means for you in trying to use social media as a tool of growth. And there are three factors. Of course, demographics is very important in developing content. And we're talking about where you are, where do you find the content to use, and how relevant it is within the demographics. And of course, it also goes to talk about those that will be consuming your content. There are people in Ghana who do not have their consumers even in Ghana because of the type of content they are creating. Interest is very critical. Those people you are targeting to reach out with your content, what are their interest areas? And that will inform the type of content that you create. And behaviors. Doug just mentioned the fact that somebody created a content and hit 1 million. You ask yourself, what was the content about? It's about the behavior of people and what they react to. So you have to appreciate and understand these three dynamics in the process of trying to churn out any content. So after the content is created, we need the wings to fly with the content. And that is where social media comes in. All the accounts that we know of, they all have their specific usages. This is not an academic session, but we can always be learning about the various tools that we use to market our content. But be it as a business that we will be creating or at our individual levels, we can use social media in these three critical areas. First is to market our products and services. And when I talk about products and services, it goes back to the content that we've created. The second is building brands. Not only your business brand, but your personal brand as well. What are you known for when I go to your handle? Do I just see you as somebody who promotes nudity or negativity with your handle? So in as much as you are using the platform to advance or market your products and services, you are also building a brand for yourself. And it is the brand, the appreciation of the brand that will bring the numbers. It's as simple as that. If you don't have a good brand, there are some negative brands that do attract, but we are in this space for positive impact, so we should be thinking about building positive brands. And of course, how you connect with the potential consumer or customer of the content that you'll be creating. What can we do? So the social media platform can be harnessed at three levels. I've spoken about professional engagement with people of like-mindedness, especially on LinkedIn, and I expect that students, as we are now, we've spoken about volunteerism. One of the interesting things about volunteerism is that it's helped build your CV, even when you don't have the opportunity for direct employment. Every little thing you do as a volunteer tells your potential employer what sort of person you are, and so you shouldn't take it for granted. So you build that professional engagement with people of like-mindedness and interest on the platform, and of course establish business on the platforms as we will be learning more. And most importantly, also engage and establish yourself on social media as an influencer. Doug spoke about what influencers can do, and I will not belabor that much. The critical thing is that we find ourselves in this space, as small as it is. And the question is, how do we use the little things that we are doing within our localities to go global? Remember, everything we're doing currently in the globe is based on the Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals are the ideals that guide us even in the content creation. And it's cut across almost every facet of life. So begin to think global about the content you'll be creating whilst acting locally. How do we do this? In content creation, we think of local relevance and global appeal. So the solution you are offering to your community is the most important thing. Every community has a challenge, and our task in creating content, one of the things that we can put our minds to is how do we use our skill sets to solve the challenges in society. Is it that the content you are creating would resonate with other people who are not necessarily in your ecosystem, that it will inspire them to also take an action? That's very critical. So if that content you're creating or that solution you are providing would not kind of prick conscience elsewhere, then you should have everything and see how you can leverage on it. And the third most important thing is the elements of sustainability. Is this something that can be replicated? Is this something that can stand the test of time? Is this something that is not a fluke? So you have to think about these three areas when you want your content to resonate not only to the local audience, but to the global audience. The areas are limitless, but I've just outlined some few areas where we can think through. Health is a global phenomenon, and one of the important interest areas across the world is issues about health. So if you have any content around health, it's likely you're going to attract a very large following or content interest. Environment, which is my area of interest, is also very important. Climate change has been spoken about here, and a lot is happening around the globe, and the young people are taking the lead. Like I said, 2 days ago I was in Accra, and the young people were leading in the climate change space, from technology to local solutions of plastic waste management. A lot is happening in the space, and they are all using social media spaces to market their ideas on how they can also contribute to solving this global phenomenon. Education, very critical area. Finance, motivation, sports, fashion, how to do. And some of the areas I've observed, especially on YouTube and Facebook, I found a lady, all she does, she has this natural hair, and she goes live showing how ladies with natural hair would make different hairdos and all that. And she has that massive following, because you know how ladies attract interest to their hair. There are interviews on trending issues that people are always interested in. It can even be within this university environment, what is happening. Somebody can just create content around KNUST, from botanic gardens to halls, things that are happening in the university community, and can get that following. People and places, we all know what Maya is doing, and we all love to see places that we cannot travel to and see, appreciate life, what people do and all that. We can do the same thing. think last year during the Ghana month, we did a series on some interesting names of communities in the Ashanti region. And you could feel how people were excited about knowing that this is the story behind a name like Kwadaso. And those things are part of us. So when you share content that people, there are things that, little things that we take for granted, but when you share them, people get interested in them. And just mention the name. Do you know the meaning of Kwadaso? That alone, you get the numbers, and they are very massive. Culture and tourism, high interest area, lifestyle, tech exposure, making most of the apps on your phone known to people. There are a lot of things on our phones that we don't even know what to use them for. You can have a YouTube engagement telling people you can use your phone for ABC, and you never can tell what the numbers. Even how to use social media itself is something that's a content that you can create. So this is just something offhand that you can. I spoke about LinkedIn, and it's my interest space because of the kind of opportunities that I've been able to attract using LinkedIn. When I started putting my climate stories on LinkedIn, I just saw the platform as a space, as a blogging space. Just put your articles there for reference purposes. I didn't know people were reading. In fact, the circled numbers, the 486,000 plus, it was more than that. I was almost hitting 600,000, but that was the peak when I used to write. Now, the editorial responsibilities have slowed my activities, so I'm not writing as much as I used to. But the numbers were rising. I didn't know how they were rising, not knowing that LinkedIn, I think they have a facility where when they like your content, they also share to other platforms where you get the traction. And if I tell you the enormity of opportunities that have come my way, people calling you for events, telling you to write certain articles for them at a fee, of course. And it's sometimes you ask them, did somebody mention my name to you? They say, no, we've been reading. And that's the power of social media. So I think from now, as professionals, as we want to be, as students out of school, let's begin to have that space on LinkedIn. It's a profile page for you where potential employers also go to look for people that they want to engage. And it's a powerful tool. All we want to do with our social media space is to be relevant and, of course, as I said, be happy. So we are being offered as young people the platform to unleash our creativities and, most importantly, our innovations. And so it's up to us to take great advantage of the platform. We want to build communities with our platform. And when I say communities, I'm talking about people who would be looking for your content. I know people who wake up every morning and want to see what Wodimaya has posted on his Facebook or YouTube channel. And that's the power of the communities you have. You want to connect to positivity in the global space. And most critically, we also want to earn good income. And one thing about it is that we work independently. Anywhere you find yourself, you can work without anybody pushing you around as an employee. Of course, we have fun in the space because we are doing what we love to do, and we have the space to explore. We can be doing all these, but we'll still be acting responsible if we don't uphold some tenets in the social media space. So as professionals as we want to be, we want to enchant ethics as a measuring tool when we are using the social media space. And it's very critical because ethics are the guiding principles that tells us what to do and what not to do within the space. Integrity is very important. If you were doing something in your closet and your conscience tells you this is not right, you should be careful not to continue that act. It's a conscience that God has given to us. So integrity, if you lose it, even within yourself, you feel that something is amiss. So uphold integrity in whatever you want to do on social media. Of course, harbor humanity. Our dignity as humans is something that we must always uphold, and in the space, always think through what you are doing. Does it really affect people positively? If it doesn't, you may gain the whole world, but what is the essence of losing your soul and the soul of others? And most importantly, we need to protect the planet as a responsibility. We've spoken about doing things for free, as in volunteerism, and it's not an exception in this space. Before you garner the requisite numbers, you have to be doing things without expecting any immediate rewards. But they pay off eventually, as I shared with my LinkedIn accounts. Just put it there. There are times that people will call you, I want you to do ABC for me. Genuinely, you feel that they're even taking undue advantage of you, but sometimes you do it to show others that I have the potential to do this, and they may come calling for you to do something that will be paid for. Googling and using AI is very important in generating content and ideas, but we have to be very careful with intellectual property rights and what we call plagiarism in our media space, because sometimes we steal, to put it bluntly, we steal other people's content and reproduce them as our own. On Facebook and YouTube, maybe you may have the strikes and all that, but if you have the integrity and those moral rights, you will know that creative activities are expensive and you don't need to steal other people's intellectual property. We must also learn to build synergies amongst ourselves. There are people here who are tech people, others with financial background who are good in A, B, or C. There are people here who probably all the skill they have is to organizing people and taking action. Just look for like-minded people and build synergies, because this space of partnership building is what we lack, and everybody wants to do it on his or her own, and I think it's not healthy. So begin to identify people who can bring ideas together. Somebody has idea, content. Somebody says, okay, I can help push it financially. I have the technical support that we can use and all that. 2, 3 people, we move together, and that becomes our social capital. And I want to end by saying that in this space that we find ourselves, you either publish or you perish. No matter what you do, accountants who used to have the comfort of being in their small corners, counting money and refusing to give us money, are now all using social media platforms to do one thing or the other, because the consultancies abound and they always want to leverage on those platforms. So what do we have to lose? And my passion is for us to be caring for the environment. At least on your birthday, plant a tree, or just put something small in a jug, something green, and let's all help make our environment the better off. And of course, we have to live to love, because that is what keeps us together. Without love, we don't succeed in the things we do. And even on the social media spaces, if you are doing something passionately out of the zeal to help push humanity, that is when you get that attractiveness, and it's always important. Thank you very much. You can always Google my name, Kofi Adudumfe, and anything I do. And so you should also be doing the same. When I Google your name, what would I see about you? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Domfe, for that beautiful address.